Hi all, this is Kalori. Welcome to Scrum and Agile Digest. Let's continue on with Scrum.
I really like this graph, right? It's Jack Sparrow. He's trying to escape this Pirates of the Caribbean. So I don't know. I haven't personally gone through this kind of a phase, but I have heard of many stories where when you try to introduce Scrum as the Scrum Master, right? This kind of what's happening, right? Nobody wants to do Scrum. It's kind of a roadblock. They're resistant to change, right? So this can happen, but there are tricks of how to get people on board. Again, you need to have management buy-in. That's important. One person cannot bring about the change. You need the funds. So hopefully this doesn't happen to you. Key Scrum beliefs, of course, people is center, right? And then we have the practices that Scrum does, and that will equate to a product, minimum viable product that we will basically be producing after every iteration. So before I go into Scrum, I wanted to touch upon the empirical process. Empirical process is actually very useful to understand because Scrum implements the empirical process, and the progress is actually based on observations that are basically supported by the three pillars of empirism. Now, what are the three pillars of empirism? One is you have transparency, inspection, and adaptation. What we're doing in transparency is, as the name suggests, you're trying to be transparent, right? And Scrum has artifacts, it has meetings, it has multiple tools like BurnDown charts to basically showing transparency in the process. And whom are you being transparent to? To the team, to the product owner, to the stakeholders, everybody who's involved in the Scrum process. Inspection. Scrum also is following the pillar of empirism's inspection. So basically, you have a prioritized product backlog, you have a Scrum board, you're inspecting your backlog all the time. You're prioritizing. You look at the Scrum board, you're making sure what is done, what is not done, what is still to be analyzed. You're taking steps accordingly so that you're able to give your final product after the agreed iteration time. Adaptation, right? You're adapting constantly in Scrum, right? You're doing stand-up meetings, you're doing retrospectives, you are taking feedback. It's a continuous loop, right? You're taking feedback from your customers, from your stakeholders. You're improving your product accordingly. So these are the three pillars of empirism. That is the cornerstone of any Scrum process. And, in a nutshell, this is what Scrum is, right? You have a vision, start with the user story, and then you do your iteration, usually within 2 to 4 weeks. You have a daily stand-up every day, right? And then after 2 to 4 weeks, you will come up with a minimally viable product that you will present or demo to your stakeholder. Scrum, as a management methodology, it is a mindset. It's a completely different mindset that you need to adapt to. It can help you in measuring the return on investment. It's transparent, it's highly visible, and you have self-organizing teams here. You're not controlling the teams. The teams are managing themselves, so they have complete accountability of what is being done. It's easy to accommodate changes. There's easy collaboration with distributed remote teams. And in today's world, so many teams are remote, right? Distributed. So you have multiple softwares out there through which you can carry out all the Scrum ceremonies or Scrum processes. So that's another advantage, even if you don't have face-to-face interaction. Now, the other cornerstones of Scrum framework is you're going to have roles, right? You're going to have ceremonies, and you're going to have artifacts. So what do you mean by roles? So you're going to have, mainly you're going to have a product owner, you're going to have a Scrum master, and the team. That's basically going to be, everybody is a team, right? A developer, business analyst, a tester, everybody, architect, they're all part of the team. Then you have Scrum ceremonies where you're going to do, main ceremonies are you're going to do sprint planning, you're going to do a sprint review, you're going to do a sprint retrospective, and daily Scrum meetings. Artifacts that you'll be producing, you'll be having a product backlog, a sprint backlog, BurnDown charts, and of course at the end of the iteration you have to produce a MVP, that is the minimal viable product. Alright, so let's talk about goals first.